Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is brought to you by Excite Medical and the DRX 9000, Chiro HD, Softwave, Cool Blue VA, Bridge Financial, 100% Chiropractic, Chiro Health USA, ChiroScript AI, Chiro Moguls, the Chiro Speaking Company, New Patients in a Box, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, Pro Hockey Chiros, Pro Baseball Chiros, and the IFCO. You can benefit from a full list of sponsors by visiting our sponsor page at chirohustle.com/sponsors. Links in the description. Now, let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 649 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. David Coberly. And if you want to hear our conversation about family, chiropractic, and community, stay tuned for the full episode. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. Today I have David Coberly coming on with me. It's been a long time coming. I've been trying to track this guy down for several months. He is episode 649 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. And before we get into his story, I want to let you know the big why. Why do we do what we do over here at Chiro Hustle? Well, first things first is freedom of speech. Him being a veteran, I'm sure he understands the value of this. And we'll talk more about his status as being a veteran and how that coincides with chiropractic. But freedom of speech is something that makes us viable and committed to being able to stay free as a culture. We know what it's like to be shadow banned and traffic throttled and censored, and we would never do that to you. So anybody that's ever been on our show, we've never done that to. And I think that sets us apart from a lot of the platforms out there. We might censor some idiots, but they chose that. And then we do believe in medical freedom and family health freedom. They're not the same things, but if you are looking for that, go find yourself an area chiropractor that's going to be able to guide you and your family in those directions. More philosophically speaking, we believe in protecting BJ Palmer's Sacred Trust. If you don't know what that is, go to our show notes and check it out. You're going to learn more about chiropractic than you previously did. And this is for all the students out there. If you guys know a chiropractic student, please share the show, because they're not getting subluxation-centered conversations at their schools, unfortunately, and they're not talking about innate intelligence and universal intelligence. So that's why we do this. So please share the show with some students that need to hear about real deal chiropractic. And we believe that when man or woman, the physical, gets adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual. And with that, Dr. David, welcome to episode 649 of the Chiro Hustle podcast.
James, I appreciate being here, brother. Thanks so much. Great introduction. And before we get off of here, I got a story about innate intelligence and the body's ability to heal. So remind me to tell you that.
I'll definitely circle back to that with you. But 8 years as a chiropractor, I know that you come from an athletic background, but what happened and how did you decide that chiropractic was going to be a part of your life?
Man, so it's funny. I was, after I graduated high school, I went to college just like, everybody else for the most part, unfortunately. But I was wanting to be a doctor. I knew that I wanted to help people. I knew I wanted to, be some kind of influence in my community. And the path that I was on was actually taking me to medical school with a concentration in pediatrics. I was going to be a pediatrician. Fast forward through the partying and not getting to get enough grades to get into med school and all this kind of stuff. I joined the military. Military straightened me out quite a bit, thankfully. People always say, thank you for your service. And I tell them that the military did way more for me than I did for it. Once I got back, one of my best friends, who's still one of my best friends to this day, he met this girl, and her dad happens to be a chiropractor in Ohio. And when I met him, he was telling me about chiropractic and actually gave me the story of chiropractic. I went to a chiropractor when I was in high school playing football, wrestling, stuff like that. And chiropractor I went to, he was one of those insurance guys. He hooked you up to the TENS unit, put you on the roller bed thing, and then, adjusted, and then, did all the insurance stuff and whatnot. And I asked him one day about chiropractic, and he didn't tell me anything. So then fast forward to when my buddy met this girl, talked to Dr. Terry McCoskey. Actually, he's an upper cervical NUCA doc out of Fairborn, Ohio. Absolutely amazing. Love that guy. He's my mentor chiropractor. Talked to him about chiropractic. He's like, David, you're going to be a much better service to the community and to the world as a chiropractor, and that's what you got to do. So went to Life University, fell in love with it, fell in love with chiropractic, and that's where I am today.
Big question. How did you decide what university to attend once you got out of undergrad?
So with Dr. McCoskey being a NUCA chiropractor, you're not chasing pain. You're not doing that kind of stuff as a NUCA practitioner, right? And so he spoke subluxation to me, and it made sense. And so when he started talking about subluxation and how the body is capable and able to heal and do all these amazing things, that if we remove this interference from the nervous system, that's exactly what will happen. The body will heal, and so long all these symptoms that people take a lot of medication for. And so when he started talking to me about that, he's like, I'm a Palmer grad, but I want you to go to Life. And I was like, okay. Went and visited Life. They had, they talked to TIC back then. I don't know if they are today or not, but at the time that was one of the only schools that, and honestly, Sherman, if I were to talk to a young person today interested in becoming a chiropractor, I'd say check out Sherman first and then go to Life.
Yeah, I think that honesty matters in this profession. And I was having a conversation with a buddy of mine who's a DC, and I just said, I used to go to this group called Epoch when I was working in an office, and they always told me, like, don't talk about like money and numbers. And I'm like, these are some of the most important things that we need to talk about. Why are we telling us not to talk about things that matter? Mm-hmm. And that's a big reason why I started doing documentaries and like getting to the point where I've been doing the podcast for 7 years, because I was like, we need to talk about these topics, these uncomfortable conversations that people just want to hush. And I think what you're saying is that if we talked more about subluxation as a general rule, people would go to principled schools and they would go and learn how to be real chiropractors rather than getting scared out because they don't get philosophy or techniques and they quit practicing within 3 to 5 years.
Right. Well, and that goes really a lot to that idea of like the science-based medicine, right? And so I know there's a lot of chiropractors out there that'll bust your balls if you start talking about subluxation or anything. And well, we practice science-based medicine here and blah, blah, blah. And when they do that, all they're doing is just really just foo-fooing or really dismissing anyone's personal experience. Obviously, it's all anecdotal at that point if you have a one-off case, but I mean, how many thousands of articles are out there about chiropractic and headaches or chiropractic and even Meniere's disease, for instance, and just being able to improve the overall person. And the cool thing is as a chiropractor, I've talked to thousands of my patients that are like, I'll ask them, I was like, do you remember why you came in here? And they're like, oh yeah, with lower back pain. I was like, well, what about your hearing? And I'm using hearing because I'm thinking of one of my patients, Lance, who comes into me specifically for the tinnitus or tinnitus that he has in his ears. And so every time he gets adjusted, it goes away that much more. And so, at that point in the conversation, we're maybe a month into care and they're like, oh yeah, I don't have headaches anymore. My digestion's better. All this stuff, all these other things have improved. But I've originally come in because of my low back pain. And so if we were able to shift that conversation from, what I do as a chiropractor is way, way bigger than the pain that you're experiencing. I'm talking about like your life improving overall. Like if we were to have that discussion with people more often, and then, you'd have more people talking subluxation, not being afraid of that science-based medicine.
Well,
very
I just want to
confident.
send a big shout out to Sherman College of Chiropractic for sponsoring our show for so many years and being a part of this Chiro Hustle family. Thank you, Sherman College, Jack
Yeah.
Borla, and everybody out there on the education front. They're doing great things out there in Spartanburg, South Carolina. And when we talk about this conversation, this cultural conversation about the bad words, maybe I should start making some posts about what are the bad words in chiropractic. Are they subluxation, innate intelligence, universal intelligence, educated
Mhm.
intelligence? Like, who's the bad guys? Is it Fred Barge, Reggie Gold, these
Right.
perpetrators of philosophy?
Right.
But I think when we look at the lunacy of it all, like chiropractic has been around for almost 128 years, man.
Hmm.
And there is a lot that we have to still do to fight the good fight for really what this profession is. Otherwise, it's going to be some manipulative therapy that's done by people with no philosophy that don't understand the true power of the adjustment, and they aren't going to get the results that chiropractic get because they have no basis of philosophy and they have no basis of proper technique. So I think that when people think about long term with chiropractic, they really have to think about, if we didn't have a dollar to exchange, if we didn't have speaking the same language and all we had was the adjustment, chiropractic always will work.
Oh, 100%, man. That's and that's the thing. It's crazy to me. And I remember when I first started practice and when I first got out of chiropractic school, it was not having that confidence and believing in what I do as a chiropractor. Because when I went to chiropractic school, I didn't have my chiropractic story. And so not having a chiropractic story and, really just going off of the stories that I've heard from Dr. McCoskey and people and the patients that he has and stuff like that. That's what I was going off of. So I really lacked that confidence when it came to that conversation. And then I had a lady, this is several years ago now. Her name was Megan. Her and her husband tried for 3 years to have a baby. Well, technically they tried for 2 years and then they stopped trying after a year and they just gave up. And it was like, well, that's not in God's plan for us. And so, and no joke, this is divine intervention. I don't know. I don't do this with every patient that comes in the office, but as she's laying face down on the table, I put my hand on her left shoulder and I was like, now, Megan, don't be surprised if you get pregnant while you're here. And she looked up at me and laughed. And I was like, well, what's funny about that? And that's when she told me about her and her husband, essentially just giving up and just accepting that it's not in God's plan. And so I told her, I was like, well, with the body, when it's properly, when you're subluxation free and your body's moving communicating appropriately, amazing things happen. And sure enough, it was I think it was 2 months to the day, or maybe it was a month to the day that I started adjusting her. She comes in, the very first person that she was able to tell that she was pregnant was my office manager. And it's like, that right there is like, you had all this interference going on in your body and nobody knew that it was going on because they didn't know what to look for. And so now that your body is freely communicating the way that it should, of course you're going to get pregnant. That's like getting pregnant and having babies is one of the most natural things in this world, yet it's become increasingly hard to do so. And it's because of all the bullshit medical intervention and the bullshit food that we eat and drink. And yeah.
Well, we're in a toxic wonderland,
Yeah.
and I had this conversation this weekend. I went and scheduled 70 patients at this festival in Glenwood Springs, Colorado, and a lot of these older people were coming up to me, probably in their 40s and 50s, asking me if we could help with ADHD, because it says on one of our signs that we help kids and adults with ADHD. And I said, well, we have this technology like Titronics, one of our sponsors, that we can surface EMG scan your spine. We can see where there's muscle tension and we can see where there's inflammation and we can see where there's dural tension on the spine. And I said, the cool thing is after you start getting care with us on a routine, we will rescan you and show you that your body's actually improving and changing from a state of toxicity and tension to one of quality of life, and we restore people's nervous systems back. I go, because right now what you have going on is these open loops of nervous system energy that aren't connected with each other. I said, so when the chiropractor starts adjusting you and correcting the subluxation, the body starts connecting with each other again, and it starts taking you out of these open loops. And then it creates a closed loop, and the body actually starts to repair and move into a better state of health, which is why you should come see us.
Absolutely. I bet. And it probably resonated with a lot of people because, I mean, no, like, I don't know. It's weird in this country because we are trained. I mean, from the as old as we are, like when we start walking and shit like that, there's a pill for every ill, there's surgery, there's something, right? And when you start talking to people and you're saying, hey, look, with this adjustment, we're just restoring that communication, allowing your body to function the way that it should. It's a lot of the times it's too easy for people. Like, how is that even possible? But we've been indoctrinated since we've been young to believe otherwise, that it has to be overly complicated, that you have to go to 8 years of medical school and additional 8 years or whatever for a specialty. And then, there has to be something mechanically wrong, or there's a chemical imbalance, which is bullshit, but there's a chemical imbalance that's going on that's causing you to do this. No, it's your body is just not communicating the way that it should.
And the adjustment reconnects man, the physical, to man, the spiritual. And I told them, I was like, well, there used to be 3 things in chiropractic that cause subluxation. We called them thoughts, traumas, or toxins. And now we have a 4th T, which is technology. And I said, we have so much forward head posture with people that we have a concern with long-term life, because people's life expectancy is actually decreasing. And I said, if you just want to test this out for me, please do this. And I do this with people. I said, put your head out and take a deep breath and see how that feels. And then I say, now put your head back with your head over your shoulders and take a deep breath and tell me how that feels. I go, technology is wrecking our vital lung capacity, which is affecting our vitality, which is affecting every aspect of our life. So I was like, the first thing I would do is practice good posture when you're using your technology.
Man, I was at my nephew. He did homeschooling in Ohio. They have like this homeschool academy, and they actually do a graduation in person, and they wear their cap and gown and stuff like that. It was a really cool thing to see. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching these kids walk across the stage, and holy shit, man, if not 90% of them were just slumped over like this with their heads so far forward. I'm like, I wish I would have recorded it so that I could have just used that and be like, look, this is not what you're supposed to look like when you're 17, 18 years old graduating. I was like, this right here is an incredibly unhealthy group of people. I can tell just by their posture.
Bro, when I was 16, I was sprinting as fast as I could so I could be a stud on the soccer field. When I was 16, I had a strength and conditioning coach that was helping me like learn how to like manage weights at a weight room to where I could like, get swole in the off season to where I could come back and make an impact. And I think that's a part that we're missing with the way that we like raise the kids this generation, is we need them to like be gym rats. Like drop that kid off and take their phone, no selfies at the gym, and work out for an hour. And meet your friends at the gym and work out for an hour, maybe 2 hours. But I think we're losing it when you're telling me that these kids that are just finishing up like high school look like they're in the nursing home.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They have this kyphotic hump that their grandma would be jealous of, it's like, it's crazy. And that's one of the big things too, with like, and I mentioned to you earlier about area scouts and working with athletes and stuff like that is, as chiropractors, we have the ability to impact young people at such a greater rate than we are. I mean, and what better way than getting into it with sports? And so that's the great thing, is like you start working with these athletes, you start working with them with the area scout side of things. And then as you're doing that, you're talking to them like, well, understand that Tom Brady, Usain Bolt, LeBron James, James Harrison, like all these amazing athletes that were the best at their game, they all have chiropractors. Why do you think that is? And then so now it's like, oh, okay. Then you start talking about chiropractic and restoring that communication and allowing their body to function optimally. I mean, think about a body that's lacking interference, that's fully communicating the way that it should, is going to perform better on the field than one that's hunched over and never been adjusted, and all that, communication's all, broken up and not getting through the way that it should.
You made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Excite Medical and the DRX 9000, Chiro HD, Softwave, Cool Blue VA, Bridge Financial, 100% Chiropractic, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Script AI, Chiro Moguls, the Chiro Speaking Company, New Patients in a Box, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, Pro Hockey Chiros, Pro Baseball Chiros, and the IFCO. You can benefit from a full list of sponsors by visiting our sponsor page at chirohustle.com/sponsors. Links in the description. Now, let's hustle. I mean, I think about like the top tier, like you said, Usain Bolt and Tom Brady, but I think about like, if I was like a student athlete like today and I saw these kids with technology nut coming out, I'd be the first to lay a lick on those dudes. And I'd be like, I can't wait to see how you respond to a dude that's like fit and athletic and trying to win a game.
Yeah.
Like, and then I said to myself, where is the future of sports? Like, are we going to have competitive football and basketball and baseball in 15 years? Because I think that the kids today, they're not learning how to play as teams, and they're not taking training as serious as we did when we were younger, because we wanted to go pro. Like, yeah. And I think that that's a difference in mentality between like the kids today and the kids like when you and I grew up, is like kids like saw that as an out. They're like, dude, if I do really well, I can go to college and get a scholarship. I can then go on and get signed by a team and play. But I just look at these kids so soft, and I'm like, is this still a reality moving forward that we're going to have professional sports?
Oh yeah, no, dude. And so my daughter, she's 8 years old, which are both my kids. I got a third one on the way, which gets me into that story I was going to tell you. So again, before we hop off, but she's 8 years old, and she's been doing gymnastics since she was 15 or 18 months old. Sorry. So we got her involved with the Mommy and Me class. And I mean, I would take her as well and participate, but she does gymnastics competitively, and she is competitive, dude. Like, she gets that from me. And so it's funny because a lot of the soft kids that we see today is because of soft parenting. And so, and that's what it is. It's like, little Johnny or little Jimmy, or whatever, or little Stacy over there, they can do no wrong. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry you fell off your bike. Like my kids, my son, for instance, he's 7, and he'll fall off his bike, or he'll do something, and he'll come up and he's whining. And I'm like, dude, did you break a bone? No. Are you alive? Yeah. Then what's the problem? I understand that it hurts. Like, and I would do that with Aubrey too, but she, amazingly enough, doesn't complain about that kind of stuff very often. But there is a place for compassionate and soft love, but there's also a place for that tough love. And I think that's where a lot of people are missing out. And that's a direct reflection of what's happening in society today.
I feel the same thing about chiropractic students.
Yeah.
Like, I hear it from chiropractors left and right. These kids come out, they want an inflated salary, and they don't know how to adjust and have no philosophy. Well, we need to come back to some tough love. You can't get a job, bro, until you learn philosophy and can come in and tell me what the 33 principles are. Tell me what a subluxation is, and produce to me that you know how to at least do the damn flying sevens, and you can move bones.
Right.
And if you can't do that, you're unemployable. Your shit's broke.
That was the thing I remember in chiropractic school, because we got a lot of fluff in chiropractic school, right? And they were taught, and a lot of them, well, chiropractors on average, they're making I forget what it was at the time, like $140 140,000 or some crazy number or whatever. And it's like, you know, they kind of prepare us to make that kind of salary when you get out. I'm like, that's not at all what happens. And unfortunately in chiropractic too, and that's something that this is something that chiropractors need to wake up to, is that we need to stop eating our young. Like, we take advantage of our chiropractic, or whether they're like the preceptor students that are coming in, or if they're just brand new chiropractors that are just graduating. Like, instead of trying to milk them for everything they're worth, actually fucking help them out and do something and become better. And I say this because the class of people that I know that I graduated with, like, every single one of them have that story that, oh yeah, the first chiropractic office I went to, I wasn't even making enough to pay back my student loans or this or that. And like, yeah, that does suck. But like, so there's definitely a balance there. Like, not paying them 140K, but also not paying them like 28,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just think that the whole conversation needs to shift and be a bit more adult than,
for sure.
than one side coming and trying to negotiate with an empty bucket saying, hey bro, I have a bucket full of water. And then the doc's like, bro, your bucket's empty. And they're like, well, I have a full bucket of water. And the doc's like, no, man, you're empty, but we have to train you now for 6 months. So really this should be your residency with me, where you come in and you work with me for 6 months and I teach you everything you need to know. And then I'll cut you loose to be paid. And I think that that's a direction we definitely need to go, because there's lots of old dogs out there that are finishing up their 30 plus years of practice. And they wish that they had a young gun coming in and said, dude, I want to take your practice over. I want to succeed your practice and be able to learn from you and mentor under you, and not go do it on my own and not, fail out after 3 to 5 years.
Right. Yeah, no, dude, that's something too, is like having young people that are coachable. It's like, coming out of chiropractic school, because I did so well on my boards and all this kind of shit, I was like, hell yeah, I'm King Dingley. I know what's going on. I know how to do it. I didn't know shit about anything. Right. And so being coachable, being that one that can set your ego aside and realize that, yeah, I don't know shit about anything. And you've been doing it for the last 20 years, so I can learn something from you.
If you just get out of your own way, you could change the world. My first mentor told me. I was pissed at him for like 2 years, but after I matured a little bit, I realized that, damn, we are all in our own way. The ego is the ego is a master manipulator.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely, man. That's a fact. Like, it's crazy to think about that as well. And a lot of that stuff, and I've done life coaching, and shout out to ILCAT, I think it is. It's International whatever it is, I forget it, or Intuitive Life Coaching Academy. It's out in California. A friend of mine, Katya, she's the one that created it, but did a lot of life coaching with her. And I mean, it's been incredibly beneficial. But those voices that we hear in our head, those we call them gremlins, is like, those are built out of love and protection for you, and we just got to learn how to check that. And it all stems from like childhood fucking traumas and shit. It's crazy. Sorry for the language, though.
Oh, it's all right. Some people need to hear it.
Yeah, no. I mean, we all have, and that's the thing too, is like, we all have our own shit, and just realize that there's no one on this planet that's walking around that doesn't have their shit going on too. And so don't worry about what they're thinking about you or anything like that. Just do you, be a genuine, like, awesome person, and you're going to make great waves and do amazing things. And fuck what they think. Because they got their own shit going on too. And no matter what you do, you're gonna ruffle feathers anyways. You're gonna piss people off. They're gonna have their own opinion about you, and fuck it, who cares?
I think that a more G-rated version is we all put our pants on one leg at a time.
There we go. Yes, I agree with that. Yeah, I get a little free with the F word when I get kind of get into something like that. So,
I know we're coming up on like our last 10 minutes of our time together, but I do want to hit a couple topics with you. And one of
Yeah.
that is you were 7 years in the Army. I do want to touch on chiropractic and the military. I know we were talking about this off camera, and you were saying that, hey, man, it's cool that they've advanced to having chiropractic in VA, but it's underserved because they don't have enough staff to take care of the people with the demand for it. So tell me a little bit about the other side of that when you're actually like seeing what's happening today.
Yeah. So chiropractors are like, dude, like I was saying earlier. So post COVID, right? So when COVID and everything popped off, chiropractors, we had a huge opportunity of really shifting the narrative when it comes to health and all that kind of stuff. And I think we still have that opportunity. Cool thing now is that chiropractic is offered at the VA. And so they're seeing more of that kind of stuff. Now, if the chiropractors in the VA, they're not talking subluxation, they're not talking, innate ability to heal and all this kind of stuff. They are pain docs. But if you are looking to serve and give back to the military community, contact your VA. If you can't do it, pro bono, then contact the VA and get into their system. I mean, there's a lot of hoops and everything that you got to jump through, but that is an option. For me, if you're military, I take care of you. You're my brother or sister in arms, I take care of you. That's not a problem. One of my good friends, his name is Dr. Juan Fernandez. He's out of Troy, Ohio. He's actually still in the military. He is a high-speed dude. He's an Army Ranger. He's a captain. I think he's either a captain or a lieutenant colonel in the military, in the Army right now. And it's always cool because when I talk to him, he takes care of his soldiers while he's on, like when he's on duty, right? So he does 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year. And when he's on duty, when he's with his soldiers, he takes care of them. He gets them all adjusted. And so, I mean, that guy, shout out to him. He's doing amazing things. He's a huge Max Living doc as well. Go ahead.
I love him, man. He's been on our show before. I still, out of the 649 episodes I've done, that guy's story still resonates with me so damn deep.
Dude, he is such a badass. Like, I love that guy. I wish I got more time with him, but I live in Indiana. He's over in Ohio, and he's got like 4 or 5 kids, so he's a busy man.
He told me the story about how his mom would sell sandwiches in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And just an amazing story. So if you guys are at this point in this episode and you guys want to go check out an amazing Chiro Hustle podcast, type in Chiro Hustle to your search engine and put in Juan Fernandez. And you guys are going to be blown away with this guy's story. And that's the power of the show is we get so much momentum with truth and justice and freedom and chiropractic, then nobody else is dishing it up like we do, man. So I think that that's a big part for me to just like say also that anybody that wants to take care of more military people, check out Tim Novelli's program. It's called Patriot Project. It's started by a chiropractor for active and retired and veteran people. And you can take these people and build their lives through chiropractic. And patriotproject.com is phenomenal. Tim Novelli is also somebody we've interviewed on the Chiro Hustle podcast. And that's just it. We weave these amazing personalities that are doing great things that no one knows about. And I think that that's a cool thing is we can connect on this level and talk about stuff that really matters. I know we're almost up at the edge of our time, so let's talk about innate. You said you wanted to share something with us. And before you do that, go to the website on the screen there, my.areascouts.com/Dr. David. And you're going to be able to join the Area Scouts. And I know we didn't get a whole lot of time to talk about Area Scouts. So if you just want to like segue Area Scouts and then innate.
Yeah. So Area Scouts, it's a company I come across, I think it was last year, almost a year ago now. The founder and CEO, his name's Lance Baldwin. So he was very much a forward thinker, and he's still alive. So I don't know if say was, but because he still is, but he's a forward thinker. And one of the issues that I have with working with athletes is that I'm very upfront and honest with parents. I'm like, look, little Johnny should not be playing baseball year round because he's not giving himself time to heal. He's going to get hurt. Plus, he's missing out on an opportunity to actually develop his athleticism in more than just one sport. And so I met up. Lance and I were in a couple of same Facebook groups, and he and I, we hit it off. He brought me on board, and I absolutely love it. So I'm the VP of athlete development with Area Scouts. And so everything that we do is centered around the health and wellness of the athlete. We do that we have a platform that we have built out. We spent over $11 million developing this. It's going to, with our base assessment. Our base assessment is designed to challenge every joint, muscle, and energy system within the body, and it's going to highlight areas of deficiency within that athlete. So there, with our platform, you plug in those scores for each one of the exercises and tests that we do in that evaluation, and you're going to get exactly the deficiency as well as all the correctives that the athlete needs to do. Now, sprinkle in some chiropractic talk with that, and boom, you have an athlete that's functioning and performing at a higher level than they ever have. And now you got athletes that are in chiropractic care as well and under chiropractic care. So everything that we do with Area Scouts aligns perfectly with the body and the innate ability to heal and do all these amazing things. We just got to give it the opportunity. And so what I've done with Area Scouts is we have an amazing opportunity for chiropractors. I've talked to Tristan Schaub about this, and he's really excited about it as well. So we've done a lot of stuff together as well. And but just trying to get chiropractors out and realize and understand that working with athletes isn't nearly as hard as it once was, and we have a platform that you can do that with. So if you have any questions, if you want to hop on with me, you can go to that website right there, my.areascouts.com/Dr. David, and get scheduled with me. And I'd love to talk to you about Area Scouts and what it is that we do, how we're making a huge impact on athletes and in sports. We have all kinds of major names that are a part of it. So I don't know any baseball fans out there. You know who the crime dog is, Fred McGriff. He is actually a director of batting for us. So a lot of cool opportunity of working with professional athletes as well as young athletes in your community and become that beacon of all things health, wellness, and athleticism in your community. So with that said, the body's amazing ability to heal given the opportunity, right? I had a vasectomy 7 years ago and just found out not too long ago that my wife is pregnant with our third child. Went and got it confirmed from the doctor that did the vasectomy. And he's like, dude, you're not firing blanks anymore. I was like, all right. So I got to go and get that redone, and it's for free. So he gives freebies for the repeat offenders. But no, that's the power of the body. And it's amazing because I share that story with people all the time. And they're like, wait, what? Your body is able to do that? Like, yeah, that's what the body does. The body wants to function. It wants to do that. Having babies is a normal thing. It's very natural. And so when the body is well adjusted and you're not eating crap, it's going to do those things. So this is more of like a PSA to you guys out there that got fixed. Probably ought to get checked at least once a year. Make sure you're still firing blanks unless you want a surprise baby like mine. But that is the power of what we do. That is what we do, why we do it. Don't be afraid to get out there and talk and tell people what it is that you do and why you got into chiropractic care. You know, if it's Megan that's laying on my table, that's, you know, her and her husband gave up hope for having a baby, or if it's me who didn't want to have any more babies, but it was in God's plan and my body just, healed itself so that I could facilitate that plan of God. So, you know, it's out there. It happens. We help people do that. We help facilitate the healing process, and get out of your own damn way, speak truth, speak authenticity, and you'd be surprised at what you're able to do as a chiropractor.
Yeah. And, just to close out with you, check out my.areascouts.com/Dr. David to check out what he's doing with Area Scouts for athletes. And, philosophically, what you just said is the power that made the body heals the body. The body needs nothing extra in it. It simply needs no interference. Even if you want some interference, sometimes it goes away with chiropractic lifestyle. So love and appreciate you, Dr. David. Thanks for being my guest on episode 649. And I know we could have probably talked for about 2 more hours. So thanks for compacting it into 37 minutes.
Not a problem, brother. I appreciate your time. And thank you all that are watching this. Make sure, share this podcast. Hit up Sherman. Become I forget what it's called now.
Regent.
Regent. Yeah. Become a regent. Like, do something for chiropractic, right? And just do great things. Get out of your own damn ways. Don't let those little voices in your head talk you out of it. Do it. Be about it. Love it. And great things will happen.
All right, guys, this is episode 649 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. Dr. David Coberly, thank you so much. I close out every time by telling you guys you're just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys on next episode. Bye for now.
See you guys.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.